what are some of the things? Is there some of the same issues rolling over to the next term, or is there going to be new issues?
Well, there's not necessarily a new issue, but it's definitely become an issue of interest, and that's healthcare, and specifically women's
Mm-hmm.
healthcare, reproductive rights. Idaho had a trigger law so that when Roe v. Wade was removed by our Supreme Court, some very drastic cases kicked in. So we in effect have a complete abortion ban. There are, they say, some medical exceptions, but that exception does not involve the health of the mother. It only involves the life of the mother. So doctors in our state struggle with at what point in time do they have to act in a manner that may be considered breaking the law for
Mm-hmm.
them. And so we've lost over 50% of our OBGYN
Oh no.
doctors. Um, yeah, we've had some dramatic losses in our healthcare when it comes to providers, and it's starting to spread just even outside of the women's healthcare issues. Yesterday, I was at a grand opening of one of our local community health centers here that's recently opened. Along with that building, they have a pharmacy included in that, and so I've been very involved in trying to see what we can do at the state level for pharmacies. Um, and these are some of the issues that we're working on in the campaign now. You know, prior it was more focused on property taxes and workers' rights for me. You know, as a working guy, I understand how important it is to protect
Mm-hmm.
workers in our state, where we have, you know, 63% of workers, you know, are at the stage where a $500 emergency could really cause them a
Right.
problem. If when COVID was here, you know, if somebody wound up getting extremely sick, you know, missing two paychecks could make a, a, a drastic problem for some of these individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And so just trying to find a balance in our state government and in our state laws to protect working people's rights. Those were some of the issues that we talked about previously. There's still currently issues. So, you know, it's been education, healthcare with specifics on women's healthcare,
Mm-hmm.
um, our taxes, property taxes, and you know, now we have to talk about whether or not our school libraries or libraries in general are going to be attacked, because, you know, we recently passed a bill that was in effect a book ban, even though they said, well, you know, it's just asking libraries to move what they considered harmful materials from one section to another, you know, to segregate, you know, adult material, as they put it, with away from children's material. But what that's done is that's created a situation where we've had at least one library close to children. So it's an adult only library, which kind of seems like it's counterproductive. And then, you know, the libraries are still trying to figure out how they're going to address this. And a lot of them are retaining counsel to be able to deal with the possible legal implications that are involved there. So, you know, there's some new topics that we're covering in the campaign, and there's still some of the old topics that remain.
Yeah, well, I really would like to talk to you about some of these things because what it strikes me as very odd. I guess it's not odd. I think it's not surprising. Idaho has supermajority of Republicans. California has supermajority of Democrats, and very similar thing. I'm seeing some similar threads here. That is, and
Yeah.
I'm just assessing this. You are actually in the legislature, so maybe you can confirm or deny this. But if one of the supermajority party members introduces a bill which sounds good in theory, I mean, yeah, let's keep adult material away from kids. Sure, let's protect the right to life. Sure, then everybody else just bandwagons on it without contemplating the actual effect of the next few years. Because 50% loss in OBGYN is nothing small. That's huge.
No. Yeah. And well, it depends. It depends, because like pretty much all of the deep red states, we have a freedom caucus in the Republican Party, And so, in effect, the way I see the Republican side is they've got three
Mm-hmm.
caucuses within their one party, and that is a leadership caucus, a moderate or mainstream caucus, and then the Freedom Caucus. And what I've seen is our leadership on that side, which they hold the Speaker of the House, and they control how bills are run. They control who chairs committees. It just depends on those individuals and what they want to see cross the line, and they will then utilize any distraction to get some of the issues that they're working on. So last year, we've seen some movement towards vouchers, for example, education vouchers, which is in essence allowing the state to pay for private education through a voucher system. Well, every state that's started a voucher system has seen a large hole blown into their budgets. So Arizona went from, I think they started out at $50 million with their education voucher, and they're now dealing with a $1 billion
Woo!
hole in their budget because that's how much it's increased to. Yes.
Wow.
And then, I've seen reports coming out of Arizona with their voucher system where they've got a number of cases now. One case involved, I believe, 6 people, and the fraud case that was brought against these 6 people was for $650,000. And that's, they're using that voucher system to take money out of the state coffers for whatever they want to do. And so if we're going to see a voucher come across or a state tax credit, which they've talked about an education tax credit in place of a voucher, I think that has to come with significant amounts of accountability because we put our public school systems under a microscope. And so anybody that's getting state funds for education really deserves to be under that same microscope. So even though in our recent primaries, the primary election was May 21st, and we've seen, I think the number at this state was 5 additional seats that went to that more Freedom Caucus group. And they're the ones that are deeply focused on the education vouchers. And so I'm a little concerned that we're going to see this voucher pass this year at some level.
Mhm.
So that's one of the things, we did. The Democratic Party has had for the first time, and I want to say 15 years, where we've actually got, we had somebody on the ballot in almost every
Mhm.
district. So I think it was nearly 80%, which is it's a hard thing to do in a state that it's registered about 18% Republican, or I'm sorry, 18%
Oh
Democrat.
wow.
So yeah, we've got a very small Democratic registration levels, but the reason for that, I think, is because in 2011 the Republican Party closed their primaries, and so a lot of individuals that you know kind of lean more towards that Democratic side or centrist side, they will register as a Republican so that they can vote in the primaries where there may not be a Democrat to vote
Mhm.
for. And so it allows them to have a voice in an election because many of our districts, the primary is what decides who's going to be in the House.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that the registration numbers are not necessarily telling the true tale, because what I find when I'm out talking with public and I'm knocking doors is that most people are very centered. They're concerned about the issues, those kitchen table issues that they have to deal with. And so, the issues that they talk about, the library bills and, the abortion issues that are only created to me as a distraction. I think a majority of Idahoans are not really looking to have the state step in and deal with those issues.
Mhm.
And so it's just a matter of communicating with the voters and trying to let them see what the real issues are.
Mhm. Yeah, and when it comes back to that, the women's health care and the freedom of choice and things like that, again, I'm like hung up on that 50% loss, over 50% loss in OBGYN. The reason is because my wife's currently pregnant with our second son. He's due next month. So this is something like we're dealing with in real time. Now, we are personally pro-life, but that doesn't mean we're pro life for everybody else. That's neither here nor there.
Right.
But I just can't imagine. I mean, we're in a big city, so we may not be affected, but let's say somebody 30, 40 miles west of us, if half of the OBGYNs in the state of Texas were to up and disappear, then let's just bring it back to the Idahoans. Maybe you guys are facing this in real time. It's not just about abortion. These are the same doctors who are delivering babies. So where are these babies getting
That's
delivered?
right.
And then like there's a
That's
lot of
right.
other things that OBGYNs also do, and that's a major access to healthcare for a woman's health, regular health that is no longer available. Like that the damage is done. So what can be done at the state legislature? Like, can you be the voice of reason and be like, hey, look, we lost half our doctors for OBGYNs. You guys need this. We need this for new children to be born here and grow the economy and grow our state. What, like, can you be the voice of reason? Can you bring something to the table?
There's Yeah, well, and we do. I mean, all the leadership for the Democratic side in both the Senate and the House are female. We have actually there's um, my sitting state senator is a leader in the Senate. He's assistant majority minority leader, and then in the House we our caucus chair Ned Burns, but our leadership and a large portion of our caucus is female, and they're amazing people to work with. I mean, they are so smart and so strong, and they voice these issues on the regular basis. One of my fellow caucus members, Brooke Green, excuse me, um, she was trying to run a bill this year to protect in vitro fertilization (IVF), and they wouldn't even allow it to have a committee hearing. So she had to introduce that bill across the clerk's desk just so that it would be read once and it would receive a bill number. And when she stood up to speak to why she was doing that, introducing that bill in that fashion, there was a bit of uproar, shall we say? There were some people that objected to her speech. So it's again that the fractions is part of that three-headed Republican caucus. um, there's a large portion of those individuals that understand that you can be pro-life and still support a Roe type of abortion allowance in our state to allow for the health of the mothers. You talked about you and your wife expecting. My son and daughter-in-law are expecting. It's our first
Nice.
grandchild, and so yes, very a granddaughter. They live near Sandpoint, Idaho, and that's Bonner County. That's North Idaho. Bonner County had to close their obstetrics division in their hospital because they didn't have a doctor to really be able to serve. Plus, they are concerned about the legal implications of providing women's health care or reproductive health care in the state. So and then we've lost another obstetrics unit in western Idaho too. So we've already had two units close. I recently was visiting with my son and daughter-in-law, and I purchased medical flight insurance for them just because they have to travel over an hour to see their OB doctor for their daughter. So I wanted to make sure that if anything happened, that if there was a car accident or something like that, that they were covered, that they could, be able to go to Washington or Montana and receive the care that's possibly needed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a real concern in Idaho on both sides of the aisle because I think like being pro-life is we're all pro-life. Let's face it, we're all pro-life. Nobody wants to see a situation where a life is taken, even in vitro, or in utero. But there's circumstances that you have to allow for, and we have made tremendous medical achievements throughout history, and we're reached a point now where we can protect the life of a mother and the life of a child, and but you have to be able to provide that health care without worrying about whether or not that doctor is going to go to jail or going to be sued by somebody and cost them enormous amounts of money. I mean, malpractice insurance is already a high expense for our doctors, and now they have to consider insurance that covers their any possible
Hmm.
lawsuits too.